Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for Nerds, by Nerds, hanging out with
Ted.
And today, Nerdarchist Ted is going to tell us about
Glimmerdark. Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter. It's a great way to get RPG tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So Ted, you were just at a con, Glimmerdark?
I went to Glimmerdark. This is the first of this particular convention. They have the company behind the series of conventions I typically go to is Jeff Mock Events. They run Steampunk World's Fair, which is going to be in May. They used to do a thing called Wicked Fair, but due to one thing or another, that one is now out. They have a new one coming up called Dark Side of the Con, which will be in March. And I'm certain you can go, look up those things if you're looking to attend some conventions in the, New Jersey area.
So you had asked about, talking about Glimmerdark and your experience there, and I know for a fact you actually ran into some fans.
I did indeed.
Because Faith had commented over on the Facebook page about having met one of us, and I'm like, well, that must have been Ted.
Yeah, I actually was Friday night. I was at one of the vendor areas, and I'm having a conversation with people just about D&D in general. And of course, anytime I'm talking to someone about D&D, I'm like, well, do you know about Nerdarchy? And the actual vendor I was talking to was like, no, I will have to look that up. And Faith is like, I've actually been a fan of you guys for a while. And I actually wound up running into Faith a number of times throughout the convention, and even played a trial run of Super Dungeon Explorer with her as well.
What is Super Dungeon Explorer?
It's a board game. It's a dungeon crawl board game. There's a bunch of tiles and there's monsters that come off of spawning points, and if you don't break the spawning point, more monsters can keep coming. It's done in a back and forth type situation where the player goes and then the dungeon master goes, or what they call the console, and it's a back and forth, and it seems really well balanced with how many things the DM can do versus how much the players are able to do.
So one of the players actually has to kind of like be the DM?
Yes. Now there is, that's console mode. There is another mode called arcade, which none of the players that I played with at the convention had any real experience with it. But you use a deck of cards or something like that to dictate what it is that the console is going to actually do.
Gotcha. So
there is a way to do it, solo player. There's a way to do it players versus the deck, and there's a way to do it players versus a single player.
But you got to play that game with some fans and
absolutely
and some other folks.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So you plopped down a bunch of stuff. You're like, do you want to talk about this? And all this stuff came out.
All right, well, we were talking about Super Dungeon Explorer, so I picked up a character for that game. I actually ordered the base game today. Or actually, it should arrive today. I ordered it yesterday. Foam Brain Games, they actually run the game room at Glimmerdark, and Matt, he was the one running the particular game, but it was kind of an odd experience because he was bouncing back and forth between having to help other gamers run the retail section as well as run the console. So it was every once in a while like, all right, well, I'll just roll the dice for the console, or I'll make the choices of what the console is doing.
So it was super busy.
Super busy.
Now this guy I've seen before. This was from a previous...
Yes, I got this particular bag at Steampunk World's Fair last May. This is Ludlow, and he is crafted by Wayward Leather Design. I don't know what you can see that card, but she specializes in making the dragon scale leather that she actually makes, and she makes all different kinds of things with that. I've actually got a set of bracers that I had custom made for me from a previous event, but she makes mimic boxes and that kind of stuff. But you can search her. She has an Etsy store. Her stuff is really fantastic. And one of the cool things about the con this year is every so often you'd see, I don't know how well you can see that, there was a little pizza pin that you'd see lying all around. And anyone who actually knows, the Nerdarchy folk, we talk about the Dresden Files all the time. But I saw this pin lying, they were just on a ledge somewhere with a business card upside down. So I was curious, and so I pick it up, and it says, "You've joined the Za Ladies Army. And it gives you this whole thing. Please accept this pizza pin made with love for fairies and in spirit of the Dresden Files. May magic fill all your days. Tama. So it was really cool that these things were just scattered all around the convention, and they wanted you to just put on the pin and wear it. And you'd see every once in a while someone would come in, what is that pizza pin for? And I'd direct them to where the last time I saw one of these things was. It was pretty funny. Here's my actual Glimmerdark badge that I was required to wear every time you walk into the convention area. The guy's like, he just point at you. He wouldn't even ask you to hold up the badge wherever, because like not everybody wore it around their neck.
Freeze dirtbag, where's your badge?
I also got some nifty new Space Invader dice from again the Foam Brain games. One of the coolest things that I did at the convention is there's a Celtic magician by the name of Daniel Greenwolf. He's apparently been doing his act for over 15 years. He says he's been in thousands of performances, and he mixes magic stuff with comedy. And my wife and I went and saw him both Saturday and Sunday. And Sunday we were rolling laughing because it was that amusing. So I highly recommend, if you're ever going to a convention and you see this guy there, make the time to check him out. Because number one, both shows he did, there wasn't any duplicate acts. And from some of the promo stuff that he had as pictures and merchandise, there was stuff that he did or he does that wasn't part of either act. So apparently he's got quite a number of things that he does that he rotates in and out.
So you get a new show every time.
Right. I met the author of a book called An Airship Named Desire and had a nice little conversation with her. And the best feedback that she's gotten for this particular book is it's Firefly on a steampunk airship. So I was like, well, that sold me. So the author's name is Catherine McIntyre, if I pronounce that name correctly, and she's working on the third book in this particular series. Haven't cracked into it yet. I've only been home for a couple of days and planning my daughter's birthday party. But
excuses. It should already be read.
I'm looking forward to diving into that one. Here is the program for Glimmerdark with all the cool, fun stuff. And actually, I should have probably started off with this, but Glimmerdark is a more like fairy and fae themed con. Although, like that, all that really dictates is what costumes a lot of people wear. It's a typical gaming convention. I saw all kinds of a variety of different stuff, but that's what themed a lot of the different costumes. And if you're paying attention to our Facebook page, as soon as I actually get my ball rolling, I'll begin starting to share some of those images and people that I met.
So you can expect a lot of people cosplaying as fairies, some of which are wearing boots, some of which are not.
So another fun thing that I wound up doing is there's the Carnival Sideshow, and they did an act on Saturday where the guy was doing a whip performance, and his partner would hold up little targets in odd and sometimes uncomfortable positions, and he would just sit there and prattle on while she was contorted and whatever have you, and he would crack the whip and break the little strands of pasta. It was definitely a fun and hilarious show. And then Sunday they came back, and this time they did more sideshow type activity, including ending with come watch me staple things to my arm, chest, or wherever else. But she walked on and jumped on broken glass, and he hammered nails into his head and all kinds of
So some like old school cool sideshow carny type shit.
Absolutely. That's exactly what that second show was. Personally, I enjoy the whip performance more, but I know both times they drew quite a large crowd, and people really got into the stuff that they were doing.
You have this box.
Yes.
It says deck box.
Yes, well, magic deck box, or whatever CCG you want to use it for. At the the conventions that I generally go to. There is a group called Concordia, and if you have been an old school fan of Nerdarchy for a while, you probably have mentioned that before, heard me mention it before.
Hey, that card looks a little familiar.
But that card does look familiar. Back for Steampunk World's Fair 2016, I actually contacted the Concordia people, made Nerdarchy cards for their particular game, and if you run into me at a convention, I always carry the Nerdarchy cards. But it's a collectible card game that kind of goes off of the rock, paper, scissors mechanic, using into a playable grid format. But every convention, they wind up offering up, different vendors have different cards, and you sign up, they give you your checklist of here's the people who have Concordia cards this year. They also tell you that, hey, other people might have them. You just have to ask. So it's a matter of whether if you're really into it, you could walk up to everybody. You got any cards? You got any cards? You got any cards? And anyone who's got cards, they give them to you for free. And it's a cool way of advertising what it is that you do. Some people, they'll want to have business cards, and people will take those business cards and they'll do whatever they want with them. But the people who get the Concordia cards, they're going to keep those cards and they're going to hold on to them. They're going to play with them. So that name is going to come up time and time again. It's a way to get a little bit more bang for your advertising buck, I guess, if you will.
And fun at the same time.
And fun at the same time.
All about the fun.
Yeah, so usually you have, to add into the Concordia stuff, your first task is you go collect these series of cards. And once you get that done, then you can start working on the tasks. And if you do all these tasks, they can get you other special cards, and then they always do, they always do other things that you can earn prizes and that kind of stuff. There's always a Concordia tournament on Sunday. But they've got the different things here. Okay, if you're going to go to the dark side of the con, which is March 17th to the 19th, they have 20 cards available. If you go to the Steampunk World's Fair, which is in May, that's 25 cards. There's Rocon number 3. There's going to be 15 cards. ChessieCon 25 cards. There's all these different things that they promote, and they'll tell you this is where we're going to be, so you can go check it out.
Does Concordia have its own website?
I believe it's just concordia.com.
I'm noticing
so the concordia.info, as well as they're on Facebook. Just search up Concordia.
So all these have QR codes. Now, we actually have our own cards. Do these link back to the person on the card, or the card Concordia?
I believe the back of the card links to just Concordia.
Okay. So just so you guys know, if you get the QR code or you happen to have one of these codes, you can just scan it in and boom, go right to where you want to go. That's kind of cool.
It's a lot of fun. I did the game in in last May. This particular convention, I just kind of collected the cards.
Did you give any cards out?
I did. I gave a handful out.
Score. So now if you see Ted at a convention, ask him about Concordia cards.
So there's a lot of fun stuff. There's always lots of vendors that are on display, and there's some vendors that my wife and I have a relationship with because we always buy something from them. There's some vendors are a little bit more hilarious than others. While waiting for people in and around a certain area, the fun people over at Pendragon Costumes, they have really, really amazing stuff, but that amazing comes with an appropriate price tag, and the guy is like, oh, can I help you try something on? And once you try it on, he's going for the hard sell. And I tried on something and it looked really nice, and it's like, that's $395. And I'm like, that's out of my price range at the moment. But so it's amusing. The guy has got a good spirit, and it was enjoyable to have conversations with him.
So it sounds like you had a lot of fun at Glimmerdark.
I did.
It's one of the ones you go to every year, correct?
Well, this is the first one, so it's hard to say that I go to it every time.
Oh, my bad.
My plan is to continue.
But then they have another con that this replaced.
Yes, this replaced Wicked Fair.
Yes.
And for like
So this slot you've been going to for a while.
for 2 years.
Yes.
For Steampunk, which is the one in May, I've been going to for about 5 years, and there's a bit of a hiccup or a snag with the one coming up in May. I have to finagle some stuff to see how I'm going to get to that one.
Sell your soul. How about a pact?
Ironically, as it sounds, that's the complete wrong way of looking, because the Saturday of that convention is when my son is making his first communion. So
Come on, you can get communion anytime. Steampunk once a year. Come on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should Ted go to Steampunk and forget communion this year, or should he do the right thing? Let us know down in the comments below while you're at it. Like, share, and subscribe.
you can check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.